Hi, and welcome to the CNBC TV 18 special. I'm Shireen Bhan, and we're in conversation with the chairman of the Vedanta Group, Anil Agarwal. Mr. Agarwal, appreciate you joining us here on CNBC TV 18. Let me start by asking you about the final sort of move towards the government offloading its residual stake in AZL and Balco to you. We understand now from our sources in the government that as far as Balco is concerned, the government is looking at the possibility of going the IPO route. This is not a new idea. It's not a new suggestion. It was made to you in 2008, and at that point in time, I understand that you had unambiguously opposed the move to go for an IPO for Balco. Where do you stand on that today?
As long as the process is clear, we haven't looked at. But if that is practical, that's fine. As long as the process is complete, we are holding we have the more than 51%, we have 70%, we have 51%, we are running the company. We have to cost a lot of money.
No, that's true.
Cost a lot of money. But we will see. If it is a practical, we will accept it.
Do you believe that the proposal that the Mines Ministry has floated apparently at this point in time, that the government offload 5%, that you offload 5% and you go in for an IPO for Balco, which will perhaps be the best method of price discovery, are you in favor of that?
No, it's not a question of favor or not favor. It's a question of whether we can, is it practical?
Is it practical?
Is it practical? If it is a practical, we'll do it.
So do you believe it's practical?
I have not looked at, but by now, if it is a practical, we'll do it. See, the whole intention is government, and we are not two. What we are looking to take the country forward, and in this process, we need to. They're looking forward to divest. We are ready to support for the divestment. It's a large money. We are holding that money for a long time. We need an independent, good process.
So even if that were to mean, as far as Balco is concerned, the IPO route, you will accept it?
We will definitely look at it.
You'll definitely look at it. Okay, the offer that you had earlier made to the government in January this year didn't really do very much for the government. Now you've gone back to your shareholders, you've sought an enabling resolution to sweeten, in a sense, your offer. In US dollars terms, it's a 20%, almost a 20% increase over what you had earlier proposed to the government. In rupee terms, it's a substantial, almost 25% increase over your earlier proposal to the government. Why haven't you communicated this to the government?
No, you have misunderstood. The whole thing is that, this is not our company. We need to take shareholders, consent. And if we can't do it all the time, we have took the enabling power in our hand, whereby if the negotiation goes on and government is willing to go ahead, we should have something in our hand to. But it's not a question of more money or less money. It has to be right money. But
it's very clear, so the fact that you've actually gone to your shareholders at your EGM and sought an enabling resolution to be able to negotiate all the way up to a maximum of 25% over and above what you would propose to the government seems to suggest that that is the window that you're looking at.
No. It's not a question of more or less. Government is not a private party say I want $100,000. They have to go through the process. It has to be seen that the process was right.
So there is a possibility of it being more if the valuation were to actually work out more than you have currently estimated.
We can always withdraw. It's not acceptable. Or they can withdraw. Anything can happen. But we have to run the process.
You're today saying that the government and you are one, and you're the same unit. But you've actually been battling with the government to be able to get this residual stake in both these companies for years now. You've gone through a long arbitration process. You're now fighting in court. The next hearing on the matter is coming up on the 16th of October. And you've of course proposed to the government that if they were to agree to your proposal, you will drop all litigation as well.
Yeah, of course. This is the proper. The big world is seeing us, how we behave. That's the whole thing. We can't put all our energy doing this.
Okay. You've been sending a lot of letters to the Prime Minister through the year on various matters, including, of course, the issue of AZL and Balco, and, of course, matters related to cane, where you've asked or told the Prime Minister that you will encourage Cane India to hike its production to 500,000 barrels per day. When do you actually hope to touch 500,000 barrels per day? Given the current regulatory environment, you're currently at 175. Your next milestone is 190. We don't know when you're going to be able to do 190. So where does 500,000 come into play?
We have, it's a question of we have an import bill. Total import bill maybe $300 billion. Out of 2/3 is a gold, oil,
Yeah.
85% oil we import. Most of the gold we import. All the fertilizer we import. This bill itself should be $175 billion. The fundamental is exploration. Exploration should be focused as you give focus on infrastructure.
But let me ask you this, because this is something that we hear from your peers who are operating in the oil and gas sector, whether it's Reliance or it's now BP who's partnering with Reliance. There is a degree of frustration with how slowly things are moving in terms of getting clearances, in terms of approvals from the DGH. Are you beginning to feel frustrated? You're a new entrant into the market here in India. Are you beginning to feel frustrated already?
See, I'm in this business last 20 years with the government. And each time, we have to have patience. Sometimes I've said we have to trust to the Indian companies, to Indian entrepreneurs, because they delivered everything. So this time also, we don't, in India only there are 3 companies, either the government, Reliance or us. With the population of 1.2 billion people, and 85% import of oil will always remain poor. So for that, we have to create where 10, 15 more oil and gas companies should come in. And for that proper policy, which is a simple policy, revenue model to be created.
I was asking you about going from 175 to 190, which is what you have stated that you will be doing, and then encouraging Kane to go to 500,000. By when do you actually hope to touch 190? Because you've already got clearances for that.
190 we will definitely try to do it next year.
Okay, 190 by next year, calendar year.
Sure.
So maybe in the first half of next year? Okay.
Hopefully.
Okay.
Sure.
Since we are talking about what we can expect from Kane India, when can we finally expect that dividend? Because there was a lot of confusion on whether there was going to be a one-time special dividend. What is the situation? Because shareholders have been waiting to hear more on that.
No, this is again, we need some clearance from the government for giving the dividends. We needed some company to be merged. The Supreme Court has given approval for a small thing. The bureaucracy has taken a little more time to give us a clearance. I believe that will happen in a couple of days' time.
Okay.
And then we'll move forward.
There are question marks being raised about Rahul Dhi's exit, and it wasn't just Rahul Dhi's exit. There were a lot of exits around Rahul Dhi from the Kane senior management. There seems to be a perception that there is an issue of cultural difference, that the new management that's come in hasn't really been able to take along the management that was running Kane. How do you respond to that?
No, this is a very small matter. It's a world-class company. Company like Kane India is not many companies. We have asked for Kane India's CEO position. You will not believe. The world's largest company, from Exxon to the down the line, any company, people looking forward. How many positions are there like a Kane CEO? So the people see what they're doing.
So by when do you hope to identify the successor?
There's a process again. It may take time, and the existing people are doing extremely good work. The people who are running it. This is an amazing class of situation. We have not touched this company at all. We have only motivated them. We have only taken away their difficulties. And see what they have done. They are producing 125,000 ton, and they had a plan to produce 175,000 ton after 2 years. They produced this year. How can they do it? If they were supposed to do it, they could have done it themselves.
Okay.
We just come in, we put their hand on their back, and they're doing it.
Okay. What about the fact that Kane PLC is actually looking at offloading further stakes? They've just offloaded another 8% in the latest tranche that they sold. They continue to hold about 10% in the company. If they were to divest that anytime soon, would you be looking at picking up?
This out of buy anytime. But my hands are tight. I have to go through the process. I have no window open. How can if they want to sell, because there are a lot of bad perception about India. People want to exit. This is the biggest things, and they thought this is a very good price. They are selling it. But as far as I am concerned, this is a phenomenal price. And if I get, we will, as government allowing us to this merger company to complete, we will move on and probably go ahead and do some buyback or whatever is required. But my focus is to create independent security of oil and gas. No, I am not here to look at small things here and there. I'm looking if I can open up this sector. That's what I'm looking at. I think that you and me should look at.
But do you get the feeling at this point in time that that is easier said than done, given the kind of difficulties, given the kind of regulatory hurdles that this sector is faced with?
I can tell you, I have met the Prime Minister, I have met the Petroleum Minister, I have met the Petroleum Secretary, I have met the DDH people, all in align, and they all believe that we have huge reserve from Assam to the south. And you will see next NELP auction when we take, we will be the ambassador. We will make sure that 10 more company comes. They make investment.
You do know there were not too many takers for the last NELP round. It was very, very lukewarm response. So you're saying Anil Agarwal will be the brand ambassador for the government's next NELP round?
For anything we have delivered.
You're talking about how you want to be the brand ambassador for the oil and gas sector in India.
Not brand ambassador.
Sure, I get your point. That's an interesting television way of putting it. But let me ask you about the coal sector. You're part of the Nav Bharat bloc, which is surrounded by controversy, and FIR has actually been filed against that. You're one of the 5 players who are part of that bloc. Now that the government is talking about the possibility of auctioning deallocated blocks, how serious are your efforts actually going to be as far as coal auctions are concerned?
See, it's again question of whether it's a coal, whether it's the iron ore, whether it's a bauxite, whether it's oil and gas, is all talk about our natural resource. And we have to be independent. And we have to have a clear-cut policy.
So do you believe auctions are the best way?
Of course. Whatever has happened, because we are getting robbed. If you see, most of the money goes to the government. Almost 60%. It has to be a revenue model.
Yeah.
And most of the money goes to the government. 60% to 70% goes to the government. You remain with the 30%. In oil, we remain only with the 12%. In that, we have to pay our salary. We have to give the dividend, and we have to put all the investment.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win situation to create a job today. You see, look at the aluminium sector.
Sure.
See the aluminium sector. Aluminium is a natural material for India. We have huge third largest bauxite reserve.
But you can't mine.
This is the point. You want to keep this 300 years more, just to be there. It can be there all the time. But if you can take that bauxite out, you can create. China produced 20 million ton of aluminium. We only produce 2 million.
Yeah.
If we can produce 20 million, we can have at least 7% of our country people to be involved into the manufacturing.
Let me now ask you about mining. Goa now has been shut down for at least the next 2 months. Nobody, including you, can mine in Goa at this point in time. There continue to be allegations, whether it is from the state government or it is the Shah Commission, that all companies that operated in Goa were in violation of their agreements. How do you respond to that?
It's again the fundamental. You have a food and put the glass there, so you can't touch it. How long you want 100,000 people in Karnataka with their 500,000 people are out of job? I always says have a self-declaration policy where you say these are the environmental norms and Indian INC will follow that. There may be some illegal mining, there may be something else is happening, and you catch them. But why you are coming a running company which is within the four wall? If you look at our body, there will be some problem. But fundamentally, these companies are running.
So what is the impact going to be? Because as of now, the closure is for 2 months. We don't know what is going to happen post that. How are you going to deal with the fact that you're pretty much having to shut shop as far as Goa is concerned?
This is the whole world is looking. I think this is, we have to resolve. We cannot let these people, are never seen in the world. Even if you go to a country like Mongolia, they have a 20% landlocked country, having a 20% GDP. You go to Canada, all are dependent on our natural resources. We are the only not people who some of the company not flouting them, because this is a system. It's all the time. The checking has to be there. The proper regulator has to be put in the place. But shutting down the industry is not seen. It has to be more and more exploration to find more and more in iron ore.
What is making you stay on in India? Because on every front, you're faced with problems. We just finished talking about Goa. I want to ask you about Lanjigarh, because once again, your plans there are stuck. There continues to be no clarity on whether you will actually be able to mine bauxite there or not, whether you will be given an alternate location to Niyamgiri or not. Those question marks prevail. So what holds Anil Agarwal back in India?
We'll be very well placed. We are expanding our business in India. We are expanding our business in Africa. I can only take this point that please do not ignore our natural resource, because the entire world does not want us to progress.
So you believe that there is a conspiracy against India?
Has to be in the sense we have, China does not have the natural resource, and they have progressed so much. We have amazing natural resource with us. Since independence to now, we have not done anything. And if we don't bring this and keep our policy on the basis of import steel, import oil, import gold, import fertilizer, we'll be always in the debt. Government has to sit down and find a solution.
No, government has to sit down and find a solution, but your shareholders are also going to ask you that you're faced with controversy after controversy in state after state. There's no clarity on Goa. There's some degree of relief as far as Karnataka is concerned. There continues to be question marks on Orissa. So how do you respond to shareholders? Shareholders are not going to be satisfied with saying the government will find a solution.
We are talking consistently. Government has promised us to give us a bauxite. I fully agree the illegal mine has to be stopped. There is no question that we pay 60-70% of revenue. The money goes to the government. If something illegal is happening, I'm fully supporting with the government. They have to find a solution where they're completely separate.
But, for instance, as far as Orissa is concerned, how much will you wait? There's still no clarity on whether you will be given an alternate source for bauxite or not. How much are you willing to wait, and what happens then to Lanjigarh if you don't get an alternate source?
See, like Indian Bahu, we have already married. What can we do? I've invested 40,000 crores.
So there's no question of divorce, is it?
So what?
You'll suffer and stay on.
They're suffering like anything. People believe that what is happening is a win-win for everything. Just sitting with your bauxite, what will you do?
What happens in Lanjigarh or what happens in Goa now is beyond your control. It really depends on what the government decides to do. But what is in your control is the restructuring exercise, and you embarked on a very ambitious restructuring exercise a few months ago. Are you done with it, or could we perhaps see something more?
No, see, the whole vision was, as I always mention, a natural resource company. That's all business I know. If you look at BHP, is very proud to be an Australian company. If you look at Anglo, come from the Africa, very proud to be African company. They do global business. Look at Vale is from Brazil, and they do business all over. So I thought from India to a natural resource company which has a copper, aluminium, zinc, iron ore, lead and silver, oil and gas, put it together, which we can do the global business. Let the company. So we put everything together, and the whole world is looked at and say, what a move! This is what 1.2 billion people in this country, which is a rich net, to create company like this. I'm very confident because intentions are right. Whether it's the government or the public, we all want this thing to happen, because this is the money spinner for the government. We get very small. So we created this company. I think we are on the last leg, and everybody is supporting us to complete that, and we should be through with this year.
Before I end, I want to ask you this. You're facing so many different controversies at the same time, and this has been a tough year for you across your various businesses, specifically here in India. How do you deal with it? How do you sort of get yourself up, keep your confidence, keep the optimism going?
One thing is we are completely fearless and feet on the ground. We have no arrogance, and we believe in transparency. So once we believe that we have instruction to my people where the governance is the topmost priority and safety of our people is the topmost priority, then I don't bother. And I believe that the largest democracy of the world is under threat, and it has to work. It has to work, and I believe it will work.
Do you believe that there's a perception problem that you're faced with, that you may believe in governance, you may believe in transparency, you may operate with complete transparency, but people don't seem to believe that? Do you believe that you're faced with a perception problem?
I agree, huge perception, but it's a democratic country. It doesn't belong to somebody, it belongs to me too. And somebody has to take the lead. And everywhere we have delivered. Everywhere we have delivered. And government understanding that. I'm looking the process to be faster. We should sit one side of the table and look at how do we take the country forward. We will work with the government, and whatever way the government wants, we will work to make sure we take it forward.
That's an important statement from you. Whatever way the government wants, Anil Agarwal is willing to play that game. Many thanks once again for joining us on CNBC TV 18. We wish you the very best of luck.
Thank you.
With that, it is time for us to wrap up this CNBC TV 18 special. We'll see you next week. So then from all of us here, goodbye and many thanks for watching.